If anybody want to talk, speak, there's the mic right here. I'll just hand it to you. Because it's going on the Zoom.
Thank you, Anthony.
Are we live?
I think we are live, this portion is a last minute update to go this choice to go live, but there were people who wanted to be able to participate and see, and so we want to do this. Look, we said it. I think everybody felt the love this morning, starting with your kind of amazing email. I think it touched a lot of us, and it was very typical Ward. I think it was, it gave us the facts, and it told us what we needed to know, and you know, that's, we do. But I think everybody here wants to celebrate you, your amazing career here, all the things that you've done for each one of us, and to say thanks. And we do have cupcakes back there, the traditional CBS News Washington Bureau toast, you know, with cupcakes.
Yep.
But I also think,
More.
there we go. That's one of the reasons we were trying to do this. We're also trying to get a speaker set up so that everybody can hear anybody who wants to speak on the Zoom. So I think I think maybe the best plan to start with was anybody wants to say a few words. If you want to start by saying a few words, but can come up, and then if we can get a speaker going, we'll go to the Zoom so that everybody can hear what's going on. They have fixed us up with these IFBs, so we're able to.
Okay. Well, as you know, I've been waiting a long time to start my show, Pure Speculation. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity. I thought a lot about whether or not I was going to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it because it's funny, and it's the kind of thing that sometimes happens to people through no fault of their own. And I want to preface this by saying I love Dan Rather. I love Dan Rather. But I was working in New York on a campaign logistics, and without boring you with the details, bottom line came out that Dan decided that I was a cancer on the organization, and that they were going to have to move me back to Washington or something like that. And this is being explained to me by very high-level executives, and and I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And they said, well, you're supposed to fix it, so you don't go back to Washington. And I said, well, how am I going to do that? And it's like, well, you're going to have to make an appointment with Dan and go in and tell him how much you love him and all of that kind of stuff. So I tried to set it up. It didn't happen. Something happened. Reagan went to Moscow. Dan couldn't do the meeting, blah, blah, blah. So one day, we're in the bureau. We're in our broadcast center. And I just walk out of my office, which is not too many doors down from Dan's. And lo and behold, I meet Dan in the hallway. And so I just said to myself, well, it's now or never. And I slapped Dan on the back really hard. And I said, Dan, it was a holiday, by the way. I said, Dan, what are you doing working on a holiday? And in Ward, the news never takes a holiday. And so we're walking, and it doesn't occur to me that we're going to the same place, which is the men's room. And as we're walking down the little hallway there, Dan turns to me and says, well, Ward, who do you think Dukakis is going to pick for his running mate? And I said, well, if I had to bet, I'd say Lloyd Benson, because he wants that Austin axis, just like Kennedy and Johnson and this and that and the other thing. Next thing I know, we're in the men's room. and I cannot go to the bathroom. I am so nervous. And we're continuing this conversation. I'm wiggling the thing like something's happening. And we continue the conversation, walk down the hall, and I walk into my office, and he continues on his way. Next day, my boss at that time came up to me and said, "What did you do to Dan Randall?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "What did you do to him? Did you give him," and I'm not gonna say what was. And I said, "No, we just had this conversation going to the men's room." He said, "Well, I gotta tell you something. Dan thinks you're the greatest thing that ever lived. He thinks you're so smart. He doesn't want you going anywhere. He wants you right where you are. Blah, 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 blah." And I mean, I'll never forget that day as long as I live. And that can happen.
We'll never forget.
Yeah, now you'll never forget. Things sometimes happen that way. And I also thought, I'd be asked, what was your favorite story? And, it'd be hard for me to say. I did so many stories, I couldn't pick a favorite one, but the one that sticks out to me was, I was with Randall Pinkston in Albania, of all places. And we were in Tirana, capital, and we had to go up to this little town called Kakus. This is all during the Kosovo thing and everything. And we're driving on roads that are this thin, and we're stuck behind the Italian Red Cross, which is moving slowly up, switchbacking, several double wide trailers. And I'm looking at Randall and I said, "What do you think is going on here? I mean, what is happening here?" And these people were so determined that when they got to the top, they set up an entire hospital like that. And we did a piece on it, and I just couldn't believe that that was something like that could happen, and it just shows the true grit of humanity when the time calls. And I think I'll shut up there. But,
Well, you've gotten to see a lot of that humanity over time.
yeah.
Who else would like to step up and share?
I do. I want to see. I never talk at these things ever. But Ward, sorry. I never talk at these, but Ward has been such an influence on my career. And because of all the times we've all gathered here, as some new executive comes and gives their spiel and then asks if anybody has a question, right? And we all stare at each other until Ward, like, "I have a question," in this disarming and devastating way, asks exactly what we all wanted to know, but we're too scared to ask. So thank you for doing that. That's something I wish I could have done. And something I hope that I learned from you over time. But what I did learn from Ward over time is that he treated all of us not just as coworkers, but as people. When I left for my last day of before I went on a maternity leave, I got flowers from one person. And it was not my husband, it was Ward. Ward gave me flowers. And I knew he always had my back, personally and professionally. Mary wrote that she remembers that Ward used to get a call in the old building on the hotline and would roll his eyes and "God damn it," and slam down the phone. What she did not mention is that in slamming down the phone, he would often break it. And we began putting numbers on the phone for how many phones there were, and I couldn't remember how many there were, so I emailed Caroline Horn, and she said when she took over there was a 5. I thought it was more, but it was only 5. But Ward, I thank you so much for believing in me before I believed in myself, and for believing in all of us. It being such an excellent role model. We are going to miss you so much.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
If you say about Terry, she had the best line ever about the hotline call. Because they would call up and always be, "We've been thinking up here.
That's why you should God damn it.
And, you know, the minute I heard that, I'm like, oh, we are so fucked. And I, you know, hung up the phone or whatever. And Carrie looks over at me and she says, you know, it's like they call you up and say, Ward, I want a ham sandwich. And that was that. And that was exactly right. That was exactly right. Oh,
I got notes.
no.
Yeah. Ward, I just want to say that I think you've loved this place and cared about this place often more than it deserves, and it has not always loved you back, but that is because you are selfless in the most incredible way and a champion for all of us at often your own expense. And we're all beneficiaries of that personality trait. And I think you bring a certain wisdom that we all hope to emulate. Your moral compass and your humor is always pointed in the right direction. And my favorite memories are sitting in the old bureau late in the day when you would come out of your office and pull up one of those low back leather chairs, lean back, and just hold court with all of us for hours about stories like Albania, the Baltimore Orioles, any number of topics. And I don't know if you realized it at the time, but you were imparting your wisdom on us and teaching us about how to be good journalists and decent people. And for that, I'm very grateful, and we owe you a debt of gratitude. So,
Thank you, Art.
thank you.
All right, Ward, I'll keep it somewhat brief, but when I first got the job here, I hadn't started yet. I was out on the sidewalk with Rob Hendon, who helped me get the job. And you walk by us, and Rob was like, that's Ward Sloane, you know, he'll probably be your boss, you know, you want to meet him. And I look over, and you're wearing like the Bernie Sanders parka, might be holding a cigar, look really gruff, and I'm like, I don't need to meet that. And so I passed on that. Then I get in here, and you know, I realize that you're like the sweetest, smartest, funniest guy in the bureau. And like Arden said, you know, I'd come into your office when you were the deputy bureau chief. I'd sit on your couch and we'd shoot the shit every day, and it was wonderful. And I think another thing that everybody knows here, the travels, you always used to call us on the road and check in on us, which was hugely helpful. And there was a time when, and it was usually you would call us and be like, you know, here's probably when you're gonna come home, you know, which is something you usually wanted to hear. And I was on one trip in Austria, and we were on day 16. And I had young kids, and my wife was like, it's time to come home, you know, what the hell's going on? And so I call Ward with Margaret, and I'm like, okay, Ward, what do you think? Can we come home on Monday? And you paused for a minute, and you said, is Andrea Mitchell coming home? And I was like, all right, let me check on that. I check on it. I'm like, no, she's staying. And you're like, well, you are too. And I was like, all right, good advice, Ward, good advice. Anyway, so it ended up being the right call. Love you, buddy. I miss you so much.
Is Ward still plugged in? No, he's not.
I'm plugged in, I think.
No, you're not. Can I say something?
Yeah.
By the way, can I just check? How many, like, raise your hand if you cried when you read Ward's email. It wasn't just me? So I just want to say something to sort of represent people outside of this bureau. Because I know you are the heart and soul of this bureau, but I don't know if people know how much you matter outside of it too. In all my years in the most horrible, awful, dangerous places from the London Bureau, if anyone you know, sometimes when you're in those places, as you know, it's really hard to know if your story, once it goes out into the ether, does it actually make an impact? Is anyone actually paying attention? Does it matter? Was it worth putting your life on the line? And the best emails ever were from you. To know that Ward was watching, like, you would tell the whole bureau, like, Ward saw it. And whatever it was you said mattered so much, because we just knew that whatever you said was right on the money and really considered, and that you really knew everything you were talking about. And it was always amazing to hear from you, and it mattered so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Can we get a speaker set up for this or no? Oh, we can?
We do have a speaker.
Come on, go on up, Susan.
Do you want us to amplify everyone talking now?
No, that's fine. I'm just, when we go to the Zoom, we can, Susan, come on up.
Yeah, if people on Zoom wanna talk, we can
Yeah,
amplify.
we'll do that. We can, that's perfect.
Ward, most of what I'm gonna say, I'll say to you in private. But I just wanna speak to everybody here about Ward. Ward and I got to know each other through, Ward wasn't the bright shiny penny at the moment. And he had left evening news, and he had come upstairs. And our cubes were literally back to each other. And quite frankly, I was scared of you. I literally was scared of you, because this was the guy who everybody said slammed down the phone, he would yell. He wasn't yelling at you, he was yelling at either a situation or something that was happening around that just, he felt was either an injustice or shouldn't be happening, and he maybe felt he couldn't control it at the moment. But it's when you meet somebody who handles adversity like you have, that's the thing that speaks to him, and that's the reason why you can actually get Don Lee to come into this bureau today. It says a lot. But it was when I met you and things weren't breaking your way. But you never stopped. You went on to literally do great things, even more, better things than anybody thought you could do. And you became our leader here. You ran this bureau after that. You and Michelle got married. And I just want to say about Michelle, Ward is an example of what you do when you take a vow to love, honor, and cherish. And that's an example. And I think Mark said it today about the young people he mentored. And for those of you all, like, I can look at Ellie or Julia Kamani's here, you all grew up under that roof. Yeah, you grew up under it. For the younger ones, I'm so sorry you won't get that. He's a phone call away, he always is, but you won't get that part of him that we all got.
Thank you.
Hi. One day I got the bright idea. I was working in New York on the national desk. I got the bright idea that I wanted to come down and do a stakeout for Monica Lewinsky. And that day turned into 5 months of chasing her between New York, DC, and LA. And I literally would go to bed and not know what city I was going to be in the next day, or wake up and not know where I was going to sleep. But whenever I was in Washington, I knew that Ward was here. And you know, like I said earlier, I was as green as Kermit the Frog when I went out there, you know, but Al Ortiz pushed me out there, and like I said, it ended up being 5 months, and during those 5 months, I got to know Ward because I knew I could call him and ask him questions. I was scared, you know, in the beginning, but he helped me gain my confidence and helped me figure out what to do between him and Al and Bill Owens and even Scott Pelley, you know. So I want to say thank you, because you didn't know me from Adam. I could have been Kermit the Frog. You don't know, you know, and you didn't care. You had talked to me on the phone, national desk, and you never made me feel like I couldn't, you know, and that made me feel like I could. And for that, I say thank you. Thank you.
who know me know that I don't really cry, but I did find myself choking up on the 9 a.m. call today, so I did write down what I have to say, and forgive me for that, Ward. Ward, our moral compass, our editorial backbone, and occasional comic relief. We've all had a lot of tough assignments here at CBS News. One of my toughest, and really one of my very first assignments at CBS News, was to procure cupcakes for Ward Sloane for his birthday, and then to procure Ward. Not one for pomp and circumstance. We had all gathered in the newsroom to celebrate Ward, much like we're doing right now, and he'd slipped out the back. After a 15-minute manhunt, we found him hiding in a pickup truck in the back alley of the old building, smoking a cigar out the window. As reluctant as Ward is to celebrate himself, though, he always celebrates everyone here, and I have countless email messages with the subject line, you. But Ward, we're here to talk about you, so let's talk about you. There's not a journalist in the Washington Bureau, young or old, whose reporting has not been shaped by your probing questions, your innate skepticism for those in power, and your unadulterated commitment to the underdog. It would be, at this point, easier to list stories you haven't covered than ones you have. You have all the Emmys to prove it. You've seen it all, done it all, from Kosovo to the Columbia disaster to the congressional baseball shooting, where you notoriously took over then broadcast associate Claire Hines' email and ordered KVC to get in front of the camera immediately, much to our confusion and then much to all of our delight. I've been to more press conferences than I can count where I've been searching for the right question, and I've asked myself, what would Ward Sloane do and what would Ward Sloane ask? You are a spectacular journalist, Ward, but rarer still, you're a decent person. And you were the first person to reach out to me after a 22-hour shift outside the Capitol on January 6th, not to ask me what I knew, but to ask me how I was doing, and if I was doing okay. And I will never forget that, and I will pass that along to others moving forward. And for those of us who were lucky enough to attend one of Michelle's art shows or to go out to dinner with you, we're grateful to call you not just a boss, not just a mentor, but also a friend. A giant in the newsroom, there have been a lot of greats to come out of this bureau at CBS News. One thing they share in common, they've all worked with you. One of those greats is on Zoom with me now. He needs no introduction, but was our longtime senior correspondent covering Homeland Security, Justice, and Transportation, and was a longtime Ward Sloane co-conspirator. So Bob, if you can speak up, please speak up now, and if not, I will call you.
I'll tell you what, do you hear me?
Yes, of course we can.
Yeah, of course. I literally got to the airport and I'm unloading bags, but this is a momentous occasion. So let me just get this to the curb and I'll get right back. Is that good?
How he does that, I want to
Bear
say.
with me.
Oh, he's
Okay.
serious.
Somebody do a tap dance.
I'm
Somebody
gonna
do a tap dance.
do a tap dance. I have won a number of Emmys. Not that many. But I've always said, whenever I won an Emmy, all you need is a plane crash and Bob Orr, and you're gonna get yourself an Emmy.
All right, I'm back in the car. You hear me?
Yep.
All right, I'm sorry to crash the party in such a clod-like way.
Now you're welcome.
It's just occasion. All the people who are in the Bureau right now had the pleasure of working with Ward Sloane in the Ward Sloane era, which began just after the Lincoln presidency. And I joined him, I think, when Grant was in office. Because we walked down many roads together. And these are memories that I will take the rest of my life, because when I came to CBS, I was not looking for a friend, it was a job. And I found a job all right, but I also found a good friend. And Ward Sloane is, I don't know how to say this, he is the institutional connection to the great days of CBS News. Guys like Ward Sloane that furnished the reputation that made CBS what it is now. So we're all indebted to him. I used to say that when they were choosing partners as producers, I was the low man on the totem pole. Ward was pretty low on the totem pole at that time too. So they kind of threw us together, and I don't know if that was good for him or good for me. But we made it work in a way that I don't think any of us could see coming. Any of the success that I had in my time at CBS, in large part was due to the efforts of Ward Sloane. This is a guy that could get you on the air, anywhere, anytime, under any condition. And believe me, we had our hands tied behind our back more than once. He produced a live shot one time and they sent the satellite truck to the wrong location. Go figure that out. It was inspiring to see how Ward could manage all the different trials that came our way. And the funniest thing about it, I don't want to belabor this, but as you know, Ward sometimes has a temper. What you may or may not know is I usually had a worse temper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd tell myself I know you would spread the word. But in any case, the most interesting thing is we worked together for plus years. And we used to marvel that as volatile as Ward could be, as volatile as I could be, we never lost it on the same day. And that's by the grace of God, I think. He was always there to pick me up, and I like to think that there were days I picked him up. But I'll tell you this, it was a magnificent partnership. One of the stories we did frequently, way too often, is the dangers of distracted driving. Here I am talking to you on a cell phone. This event was the day that I just did not let pass. And I'm very thankful to Nicole for cluing me in, because I'm now on persona non grata. I don't even know about this part. But I'm thrilled for Ward. I'm sad that CBS is losing some of its connective tissue. But the inspiration and the example he set over decades is something that you can build upon. I'm more than thankful he's my friend, and I wish him nothing but the best. Now, sometime over a drink, I can tell you real stories about Ward, but I don't want to take risks.
Thank you,
Ward,
Bob.
I love you, man.
I love you too.
I love you. You're a brother, and you've been a friend and always will be. And I'm glad I could at least participate.
Yeah, I'll never forget the day we walked into the broadcast center, covering some awful thing, and Al Ortiz sees us, and he says, "Oh, look, here comes doom and gloom." Sorry I couldn't cover ponies.
I can think of so many things that happened that were just unbelievable. There's just no way we had any chance of success, and somehow he pulled a rabbit out of his hat. We covered so many different airplane crashes, and they were all horrible. We covered the Columbia shuttle, and that was horrible. But occasionally we would do fun stories. Ward's a big baseball fan. I'm a baseball fan, so somebody got the bright idea that in 1994, the baseball strike, Ward and I were the perfect team to cover the baseball strike. So we did. From the Washington newsroom. The talks were going on in Arizona. We were in the Washington newsroom with no resource. It was Saturday. We had produced a piece for the evening news. Ward calls blindly in the press ops of the baseball writers, or whoever it was, and said, "This is Ward Sloane, CBS. Is there anybody there that knows anything? I need to talk to somebody." We got on the phone. So we got enough information that we lived through. And later on, when we were laughing and bitching about the lack of resources, in the end, we produced the story. And I guess that's kind of like the Ward Sloane profile. Anytime, anywhere, under any conditions. And I think we were all better journalists, as somebody said, for his involvement. So, Ward, I wish you the very, very best. I wish all of you the best. And I'm glad I was able to take part just briefly today.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, I'll do it. I don't need a microphone.
Use your stage manager voice, Mark.
In 2015, I was directing the State of the Union back when I was a director, and Ward comes up to me and he goes, "Here, take my tickets." And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm not going to go." I go, "No, you can't do that." He goes, "Take them." If he wouldn't have done that, I would have never been to a White House Christmas party. I'd have never been with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. And the State of the Union went really well. But that generosity. And I was the last person in line to get into the White House because I had to work here. and shoot myself to the White House. I'm the last one in line, and it's Wolf Blitzer and NBC guy and one of the female, all the anchors are right ahead of me. And I'm sitting there laughing to myself going, I'm the last guy in line. And it was because of you, and it meant a ton. And I've known you how many years?
400.
That's it.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. Just get up there and shout it out.
I talk with my hands, so can I put this on? Okay, well, don't tell anybody, but I missed the 9 a.m. call this morning because I was at my kid's Christmas concert, and I got in my car, and I got your email, and I just burst into tears because you mean so much to me. I think every person that enters this bureau for the first time has a very similar story, which is you meet Ward first. He's the first person to reach out to you if you're new to this bureau, no matter how old you are, no matter how much expertise you have. He not only welcomes you and says, I'll be here for anything you need, but stands by it consistently. He literally welcomed me with open arms and has done so ever since. He's the first person to text you or call you or email you when you had a good piece or a good piece of reporting. And coming from Ward, who is literally, like CBS News, such a legend, that meant everything. There are a couple of moments that really stick out to me that you've been a part of in my life. One, when I was promoted to a correspondent, you came into my office and you said, you worked so hard, I'm so happy for you. And that just meant so much. The second time, I was on an assignment somewhere, and you said, can you get to a camera? I need you to be on the special report for something that I wasn't covering. But I had covered it before, but I wasn't at the moment. And you said, we really need you because we need to have a woman on this panel. And that is really important, and that speaks to the way in which, as a producer, but as a reporter, you were looking at kind of the diversity of voices. And then the last time that really stands out to me, after this grueling campaign that we all covered last year, you called me the next day, and it's like, oh gosh, what's going on? And you just said, hey, I'm just checking in on you. Did a good job, and I just want to see how you're doing. And after I got off the phone with you, we talked for a while, and I just started crying. And not because I was exhausted, because it was just so kind. We work in an industry that is unrelenting in so many ways. The news cycle, the people, the demands are just so great. And especially in these times, just basic human decency is really hard to find, but we always find it in you. You make sure that everyone's doing okay, that everybody feels like their work has value and that they have value. And I just don't know where we go without you. We will try and we will do you honor.
Fine.
But I know that you'll just be a text and a call away. And I hope that all the young people that come in here, I guess I'm no longer a young person in this bureau, thankfully. But any young person that comes into this bureau, I hope you know that you can talk to Ward and feel welcomed by him. Thank you. Sorry for the tears.
That's why I'm not on
It's just
TV.
like the phones, Ward. It's just like the phones.
I'm very quick.
Anthony got unplugged.
What, a channel 1 or 2?
You know, we need some people downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to publicly say thank you. That you mean the world to me, and everyone knows that I do cry a lot, especially for people who mean so much. And I'm not young anymore, but you took someone who was very tired, very young, worked all hours, and said, you need to stop, and you need to go do something with the talents you have. And I thank you for all of it.
All right, that's enough.
Now there are cupcakes to be had, right?
Wait.
Okay, I was gonna say, there might be a Zoom.
Nancy!
I know I already spoke this morning, but after that, I realized that I left something important out, which is that one of the things we're gonna miss the most about you, Ward, are your math emails. And so I went back. What can they do now, right? And I found some gems, don't worry. This first one went out to Wash News. Question, where are the cicadas? There are actually many cicada references in emails scattered throughout. This next one, again, math email, all caps. This is the whole email. This is really, really, really bullshit. This one went out to the Washington Bureau. Am I the only person who gets called at least once a day from the Army of Medical Services who is offering me a free medical device? Another one, this seems embarrassing. This one just went to me. What have you done for us lately? That was the whole email. It seems to me the Post should acknowledge something here, or I should stop reading the paper. This one came in response to Cubs fan Alturo Rhymes. Go Cubs! The Orioles are a good alternative for you, though. Nobody bets on them. Worst team in baseball, and proud of it. Washington has truly become a place where you cannot make up anything because it's already happened. Is it me, or is Biden doing something different with his hair? Speaking of hair, Ward was quite the fashion maven. He was always the first person to notice when you made an upgrade. This is a text he sent me in 2022. Great piece tonight. Made a complicated situation very relatable and easy to understand. And then there's that coat and scarf combo. You always knew that you did a good job when you got a text from Ward, but even better was when he passed along a compliment from Michelle, because she was even more discerning and had even higher standards. And we miss her a lot, and we're gonna miss you a lot too, Ward. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you all.
Mind if I jump in? Sorry,
Go, Sarah.
Go, Sarah.
Thank you. So a lot of people have talked about, Ward as a mentor, and there are just a myriad of ways, Marty, tearing up, but there's a myriad of ways in which you made me a better producer and reporter. And the words of encouragement have, of course, meant so much, coming at the end of a shift, or if I send a late note or something. But to me, I think the most meaningful thing that you have done for me, and it sounds like for so many others in this group, is checking in to make sure we're doing okay. So in 2019, I was about a year into my time at CBS, and I underwent a couple of week-long, pretty intensive health scare, and was out for about 3 weeks. And without fail, every single day, Ward texted or called me to check in and just say, hey, just want to make sure you're doing okay. Don't worry about work. We've got things good here. Take your time, and we just want to make sure that you're doing well. And I think, that coming from, Ward was deputy bureau chief at the time, but it just meant the world to me that, somebody in a management level and just, a fellow colleague was looking out for me and my well-being and just really cared. And I think it just made my feelings about working at CBS and that family feel to it just enhanced so much. And so I've always just been so grateful to you for that, Ward. So thank you so much.
All right, so I think we'll cut off this part of the celebration. We'll continue with a more personal.
Okay, good.
And,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Enjoy.
40 minutes of holding the phone. I'm a motherfucker.
That's right, you are.
Oh, wait, I recorded that part.